The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew.
Glory to you, O Lord.
Jesus said to his disciples, "When the Son of Man comes in his glory, escorted by all the angels, then he will take his seat on his throne of glory. All the nations will be assembled before him, and he will separate men one from another, as the shepherd separates sheep from goats. He will place the sheep on his right hand and the goats on his left. Then the king will say to those on his right hand, 'Come, you whom my Father has blessed, take for your heritage the kingdom prepared for you since the foundation of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me food. I was thirsty, and you gave me drink. I was a stranger, and you made me welcome. Naked, and you clothed me. Sick, and you visited me. In prison, and you came to see me.' Then the virtuous will say to him in reply, 'Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you drink? When did we see you a stranger and make you welcome, naked and clothe you, sick or in prison and go to see you?' And the king will answer, 'I tell you solemnly, insofar as you did this to one of the least of these brothers of mine, you did it to me.'" The Gospel.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Saint Martin, St. Martin of Tours, is one of the most popular saints in French history. Indeed, the Abbey of the Chartreuse, where I was for years, now closed, but it was very much alive and kicking at the time, was dedicated to St. Martin, as was the whole of the valley, Val Saint Martin. And this was a big solemnity for our community, for he was our patron. And the story, of course, would be very dear to everyone who knows anything about the saints, for he is a typical example of somebody who encountered Christ. The famous story of the calamity which he gave in part. He used his sword to cut it in two and gave to this poor beggar, and the Lord appeared to him that night dressed in it. The antiphon is sung only for him and only on this day once a year, therefore this specific melody only heard once, that of St. Martin, which is therefore very ancient. He merited one apart, and it is very profound. Beatus vir Sanctus Martinus Now then, the blessed man, Holy Martin of the city of Tours, rested, or has rested, has gone to sleep, whom received, now then we have the whole crescendo, angels and archangels, thrones and dominations and powers, and the Virtutes goes on for several bars and rests in glory. It was a good patron to have. As it happens, it corresponded to an annual event. It was still quite strong in France at the time, the Petit Été de Saint-Martin, the little summer of St. Martin. Every year it gets weaker, but it was still very strong in the 70s and 80s. It's a phenomenon linked with the stars. There are shooting stars which go on the right side with regard to what favours the earth at this time of year, and go on the other side, interrupting the light of the sun. 6 months later, les saints de glace, the saints of ice, and it's therefore always a nice few days, about 3 days. One day in particular, it's today. Unfortunately, it loses its effect because the shooting stars lose their power each time they come with friction. But anyway, with regard to this, the thing which comes to mind is the fact that this person was very faithful to grace. He himself was not of Christian stock. It was only the beginning of the Christianization of the world. The cessation of persecution had happened in most places through the Edict of Milan, but his parents had not yet come to Christianity, and they would have been suspicious of this sect. But he opted to be a catechumen, and he had to go into the army already at the age of 15. His father was in the cursus honorum, the career of the army, which would go very high as time went on, and he had to go in the same direction initially, but he actually opted out, which is a risky thing. He approached actually the emperor himself, it seems, and explained that he wanted to serve another king. Reluctantly he was allowed to go, and we know his involvement with Ligugé, which is a very ancient monastery. He was formed therefore in a very good monastic style, close to Sulpicius Severus, who actually wrote his life, and therefore a very good biography. And he, by popular acclaim, as would be the case at the time, we see it happening again with St. Augustine and St. Ambrose, he was called to be a bishop by the people, and he didn't want that, and he tried to escape it by hiding amongst the geese. And of course the geese betrayed him, as geese might well do, with their loud hissing noises, and he was caught. But he was the man for the hour, and a very good bishop. He also favoured the monastic life, and we know from precisely his biographer how good a bishop and how loved a bishop he was. He knew ahead of time that he was going to die, and he did explain that the time had come to his brethren. And they protested, "Father, why are you deserting us? To whose care are you leaving us in our grief? The wolves in their savagery will fall on your flock. When you, our shepherd, are dead, who will save us from their teeth? Oh, we know you are weary for Christ, but that reward of yours is sure, and it will not grow less for the waiting. Oh, pity us, whom you are leaving desolate." Martin was deeply moved by their tears, which stirred the lifelong sympathy in him that flowed from the heart of God's mercy. He too wept, we are told, then turned to God, and as his answer to their pleading, he made this prayer: Lord, if I am still needed by your people, I will not refuse the work. Your will be done. The wonder of the man. Neither toil nor death could defeat him. Indifferent alike to life or death, he would not refuse the one or fear the other. He lay with all his being intent on heaven, holding his unconquered soul fast to its prayer. The priests around his bed wished to turn him over on his side to ease his poor body, but he stopped them. Brothers, let me go on looking at heaven, not at the earth. My soul will be pointing to God when its moment of departure comes. He saw the devil standing near and cried out, Blood-stained beast, what are you doing here? You will find nothing of yours in me, you living death. I go to the arms of Abraham. These were his last words. Then he surrendered his soul to God. There are testimonies of very other kinds of deaths. I know one king who, as he was petering out, opened his eyes and said, "Oh, the horror of it." Anton LaVey, the founder of the Church of Satan, said, oh my, there's something terribly wrong. There's something horribly, horribly wrong. Stalin, according to his daughter, opened his eyes and pointed a clenched fist upwards. He had a horrible death, apparently. What a difference between the saints who serve the King and others who serve something else. Eternity is a long time. As somebody said, we're a long time dead. Ubi caritas et honor, ubi caritas Deus ibius, ubi caritas et honor, ubi caritas Deus ibius, ubi caritas et honor, ubi caritas Deus